They called him the Diesel.
Crank up that diesel. Let's go.
He leaned across the table and he goes, "You need to get me back there. I'll make you famous."
And to Riggins, good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20. He's gone. He's gone.
It's Riggo the Diesel.
Good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening, which one it's going to be for you. I'm John Riggins. This is Riggo the Diesel. Joining me today, Larry Michael, as he always is, voice of the Washington Redskins and a whole lot more, and the all-time sack leader for the Washington Redskins, Dexter Manley. Dexter,
all right.
Today, Larry, everybody, good to see you.
Oh, wow, what a group.
Yeah. This is our John Riggins Hall of Fame group.
Yeah, one guy. Why do I got one there sitting there? You maybe should be in there. I don't know how I fit in that category.
Yeah. Well, you're the sports guy. You're a Hall of Famer.
You are two of the all-time greats. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Good to see Dexter. John, who invited Dexter? John, that's a great idea.
Well, it was our silent minority.
I know nothing.
Are you with us?
I know nothing.
Lydia.
All right. Well, he don't.
I don't have a big picture here no more.
It's okay. It's all right. We got
I got
you.
it
You look
now.
great. You look great.
Yeah. All right.
I wanted to ask you how you been doing here for the last 30 or 40 days, because I know, unlike me, you actually like to work out. But
I do. Well, I tell you.
You've been a little bit cramped in that regard. What have you been doing? You've been walking around the neighborhood, that kind of stuff?
Well, you know, at the YMCA in Bethesda, I go hit that track 5:30 in the morning, and I walk for about 50 minutes. I come home, I do push-ups. That's it.
That's it, huh? And that's been going on now for what, like 4 or 5 weeks?
But since they closed the gyms down, I think probably about 4 weeks or more.
Okay.
What time?
Well,
I go walk the track about 5:30.
5:30 a.m.
a.m. and I walk 50 minutes.
That's back in the old days. I was just getting home at 5.
Yeah, and then I come home. I do 100 push-ups. That's it.
That's it. You like Herschel Walker. You do push-ups. You don't do sit-ups, Dexter? No sit-ups?
No sit-ups.
No.
I stay away from the food that put the belly on you.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, John, what have you been doing? What do you do since all this stuff was shut down?
As you well know, because you've been down there, I've got a little bit of a gym in my basement.
Right. You scared me with that bear. I came to your place. You had a bear down there. I thought that bear was a live bear.
It's the wolf and the leopard you got to be watching out for.
Yeah, whatever it was.
The leopard is in a box, so you won't get the same effect. But if you actually have it mounted on the wall and it's up above you, it'll stop you in your tracks. It's got that.
No, you had a white bear downstairs.
Yeah. The bear is in the basement. I mean, they're both in the basement. One's in the media room. That's where the bear is.
Yeah.
You work out with
the
Larry
bear? Michael, you didn't know that John have those wild animals there.
I mean, I don't know. I know Joe Exotic had the wild animals. John's, I hope, are stuffed or something. I hope they're not live.
I'm the modern day paladin. Have gun will travel. I was called to a farm years ago. They had a grizzly bear that was raiding a village up there. They called me, and I had to take care of business, as paladin always does. And then, of course, I got a call from Zimbabwe back in '85. I had to fly over there and dispatch a leopard who was a marauder on a guy's cattle herd. So, that's the only reason.
Wow.
They had
paladin.
They were bad actors. That's all I could say.
Hey, well, John, did you use a dove eagle to kill those animals?
For what?
Did you use the kind of a revolver like a dove eagle?
No, actually, I snuck up on both of them and slit their throat with a knife. That was back when I could get it done, Dex. But I wouldn't do it now. I would leave it alone.
Wow.
Okay.
Hey, listen.
I don't care.
John, we invite.
Let me give me a towel.
We invite Dexter on the show, John, and just off the rails, right out of the box.
We might be coming back next week, Larry. I mean, we got Dexter's great at this.
Hey,
we'll try to get the train back on the tracks. I don't know if you got to watch much college football this past fall, or even if you paid any attention to the high school about 4 or 5 years ago. But right now, it would appear that Washington, in 2 days, will select Chase Young as the second overall pick in this year's draft. and I was wondering if you had made any observations, have got a chance to see him play. The little bit that I know about him, though, is he's approximately your size. I noticed I was watching him do some interviews today, and his biceps are bigger than his calves, I think.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
That you've got going on. But the difference is a little bit, I think personally that you are a little bit faster than him, because I think he cruised about a 4.6, and I think he ran like a 4.85. Well,
Larry, I tell you, I mean, John is the guy, from what I understand, and did a little research on him, the guy's 265, 270. And if he's going to be in the 43 defense, going to be on the edge rusher, he's going to need to drop some weight, because anytime you come to the National Football League, you're going to put on anywhere from 10 to 15 pounds, maybe 20, with bulked up. So I don't know. He has to keep in mind that weight is a big factor, because this game is about speed. Coming around the corner, you have to have the speed. The only person I've seen about 280, 290 can get around the corner was Reggie White. I'm not so sure he's going to be a Reggie White, but he's going to be an outstanding football player. He'll play immediately for the Redskins right away, I think.
Hey, Dex, when they talk about him having moves that take some guys years to develop, but guys like yourself and Charles, you were always developing your moves. How special is this kid coming to the NFL, who they say has moves, and, of course, he's going to learn more once he gets up there?
Yeah, well, I think that is really important. I've watched some of the Ohio State games. I think you have to have a lot of counter moves and moves. You know, once you get around that tackle, if he's not a Trent Williams, you got him beat. But more than likely, you have to have a double move to get to the quarterback. Another good thing, he has long arms, so he'll be able to use his hands to get around to beat that tackle and get to the quarterback.
Dexter, will he, based in college, like just as you were saying, because I want to go back to what you originally said about, you think that he's going to need to gain about 15 pounds?
No, I think he's going to have to keep that weight. He's about 270 now. And when you put him in the 43 front, he's going to be on the island. So that means he got to have the speed to get around that offensive tackle. He's 270 now. I think he's going to have to manage his weight. I say at least about 260, no more than 262.
Well,
so he's going to need to drop the weight and keep the weight down so he can get around the corner. Because
a guy that's weighing what you're talking about there, 275, 280, and he's going up against a tackle that's, say, 320. Can you bull rush that guy? Can you run over him, or are you
well, I could. I'm not so sure he can. I don't know what his strength level is, but I know what's the most important thing. You have to have speed and get that guy to lean a certain way, get him off balance, the offensive tackle, and then you hit him in the face. But at 270, 280, only one guy I saw could do that was Reggie White. And I don't think he's a Reggie White today, but maybe in the near future he might turn out to be a Reggie White, because he was like 285, maybe 290, and can get upfield and run right over.
What about his addition to that defensive front that the Redskins currently have? You got some first-round picks. You got a lot of first-round picks. Now you bring a guy, if they get him, you're going to bring a guy in there who's got a great talent level and a great kid as well. How does that help these other defensive linemen?
Well, I think that's going to be great. I mean, for the last 3 years, the Redskins have drafted defensive linemen in the first round. So I think that the fact that Dwayne Payne, whatever his name, and you got the other guy both of them from Alabama. You got the other guy, I can't think of his name. He didn't make a real impact his rookie season. But I think that front seven, I think they'll be relentless and get to the quarterback. They'll be game changers.
When you look at what a defensive end is asked to do, and as you just said, explain the difference, Dexter, between playing a 3-4 and a 4-3. And you never actually did play in a 3-4, did you?
Yeah. Well, I played in the 34 in Tampa, but for a guy, it'd be more like a linebacker. But I was steady coming. I'm on the outside. I'm just coming, and most of the time, I never cover. But in the Washington 43 defense, it's different. It's much easier to play because, if he was in the 34, see, that's the Redskins. That's good that this new defensive coordinator switched into a 43. Because in the past, these guys are undersized. They really can't play a 34 because they're too small. I don't know what kind of strength they have, but I can't think of Allen. Jonathan Allen, he does well in a 34. He might do well in the 43 too. But I just think overall, they're getting guys that can play this type of defense in a 43 defense, because then most of the defensive end is coming off the edges versus a 34 front. You got to have big gorillas up front.
Gotcha.
Good job, Dexter. Where'd you get that jacket, Dexter?
Well, George Michaels gave me this jacket years ago. And it's cool in here, so I put it on. Larry, you didn't give me a Redskin jacket. I would have
Come on
loved to
now.
put on.
Well, you know you got some Redskin gear recently. Don't
Yeah, I
say
know,
that
but
stuff.
I want to save that. I'm saving that one, Larry. And I owe you dinner, too. Don't forget, I hadn't
You don't owe me
forgotten.
nothing. You don't owe me nothing. You don't owe me nothing.
Okay, all right.
Dexter, I wanted to ask you a question now unrelated to Chase Young, but kind of related to what you do. Is Trent Williams, any idea what, your observations of where he's at in his career now and what the team may or may not do with him?
Well, I tell you what, in my opinion, I think Trent Williams in the top 5 left tackles in the business. He's 31 years old. He's still young. He got a lot of time. And the good thing about it, Larry, I think he's a good, John, he's a good dancer. He seems to be light on his feet. I don't think the Redskins will move him, but I think if the offer is there, it's like if they can get like the Cowboys, they traded Herschel, they got maybe 10, 11 picks to come in. But
they ain't getting no 10 or 11 picks. They're not getting 10 or 11 picks for him, unfortunately.
Well, I understand it because they're going to get all young players. I think that Trent Williams, he got good value, but I like to see him stay here because, as you used to say, John, I'm a homer. But if Trent leaves, I think it's going to be a lot of problems. They have to get him a left tackle to come in here and shore up the line.
Well, Larry, it's funny, too, because I got to looking at some of these mock drafts. I think there's at least 5 guys that they're saying will go in the first round at the offensive tackle position. I mean, it's just – and I've heard other people talk about this draft deck. As far as the talent, the depth of the talent in this draft, I think they're saying is like off the charts. It's almost like a once in a every decade or two,
right?
A type of a draft of the talent that's available.
Usually those tackles, they go on a run with the tackles, especially they start going. And I'm told there may have 4 or 5 tackles by the time the Redskins, unless they get a second-round pick, by the time they get there, I don't know if those 4 or 5 guys are going to be available in the 3rd round. So we'll see. We'll see. But it's always an unexpected situation when the draft rolls around, and it's always an unexpected situation when Dexter Manley stops by.
Yeah.
You never know what to expect. Just like an offensive tackle never knew what to expect. Dex, let me ask you before we let you go. When it came down to, in other words, from your perspective and how you played the position and there being some similarities between you and Chase Young, you were, you could bull rush just like you said, but did you set it up with your speed where you got the tackle back on his heels and then you could just go right through him?
Yeah. Well, again, everything starts with the speed. You got to get him upfield and then you hit him right in the face. He's off balance because another thing is that I like to watch the guy. Once I get him upfield, he got to cross his legs. And once he crosses his legs, he have no balance and I hit him right in the face and I run over him.
Larry, I don't know. This is something nobody ever talks about with Chase Young, but obviously you have to play the run too.
He's a good player.
With his, I don't have any idea. Nobody ever talks about how he plays the run, but I'm going to think it must be pretty good, or he wouldn't be where he is.
Well, I keep talking about generational talent and all this. He's obviously a great player, and it is always an adjustment for somebody getting to the National Football League. And the expectations are going to be high for him, very high for him. And he performed at the highest level up to this point. So I don't know how else you could really do much more than to predict the guy's going to be a great player than to look at his college tape and say, and the fact that he's a local guy, I mean, it might be a great way to wrap it up with Dexter. That, Dex, you have made this your home since you came here from Houston, Texas, and you've been to DeMatha. You know what kind of, kind of players they have. So I'd like you to wrap this segment up talking about what makes those players special and how a young man coming home might be just what the doctor ordered.
Yeah. Well, I went over to DeMatha's last year, spoke there. A big rally. It was great. They got great facilities. I think what makes DeMatha so special is that they got great facilities. They have great coaching staff, from what I understand. And they seem to get players that can play at the next level, Division I. They got some basketball. I don't know much about football, the players, but this guy is a Division I player. Of course, we know that. Now he's going to the next level. Larry, what else did you ask me?
That's it, man. I mean, it's always great to have you. It's always great to see you. Just your opinion on the local kid coming home, and you made your home here. So I think all eyes are going to be on him.
Well, again, he's a Prince George's County guy, and I think that with that fact that hopefully that the fan base will come in and watch him play. I think they will.
Always great to have you, man. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me,
Dexter. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Did you know the Redskins are sponsored by Koch Industries? That's Koch, Koch. Their 67,000 U.S. employees make a lot of things that make game day better. Green turf, they make that. Stronger paper products for tailgating, they make that too. And electronic components and TVs and smart devices so you can watch the Redskins anywhere. Yeah, Koch makes that too. See all they make on and off the field at kochmakesthat.com. John?
Yeah, well, as we all know, money is going to be tight here in the near future. At least it certainly appears to be that way. And the folks at O'Connor Plumbing understand that. They want you to know that they've got some financing options. One of them, and one of the main ones, is for the first 6 months, there's no payments and no interest. And then you can convert this into a low APR loan down the road and get your plumbing work done. It's not anything where, well, maybe you want to redo your bathroom or your kitchen. But if you have an emergency or anything and you're putting it off, don't do that. Call the folks at O'Connor Plumbing, 1-833-RIGGO-44. They'll send a service technician out there, take care of your problem, and it'll go easy on your pocketbook. They've got great prices. They're very competitive. I mean, you will eventually have to pay for it, of course, but for 6 months, you don't have to worry about it. No interest, no nothing.
Hey, I'm bored, I'm broke, and I'm back.
Who's bored? Who's broke? And who's back?
I wanted to always see the redwoods. I wanted to see the Rocky Mountains. I wanted to see the Painted Desert, the Petrified Forest, the Grand Canyon. That was like the land that I always wanted to go to.
John Riggins.
John, you know what? We've broken in through this virtual world of ours, and we had Dexter Manley join us, and that was he brought some energy, I think, didn't he? Always does.
Yes, he does. Dexter is that guy. It's funny you say that, Larry, because I think that's who he was on a football field. And I think that really, when I think of football players, actually, I think of the ones that are the most successful have that kind of energy. And when you talk about anybody, I mean, even in acting, they talk about energy, but it's crucial, I think. And, Dexter was one of those guys. I think he's a very optimistic guy. I've never seen Dexter where he's moody or brooding or anything like that. He's always got a smile on his face. He's ready to do whatever needs to be done. Basically, I find, and when I was playing back in those days, Dexter was a rookie. He's 10 years younger than me. He went wherever he went his own way, and I did mine. But I found in the years subsequently, I see a lot of Dexter. He comes over to the house every once in a while.
He became a good buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any idea what a fun guy he was.
Yeah.
I guess I did, but just never hung out with him.
I think about different guys. I'm thinking about who nowadays, maybe on the offensive side of the football, who actually is demonstrative and shows that energy. Gary Clark used to be that way. I mean, Gary Clark was so emotional. Sometimes, you'd say, what's wrong with you, Gary? But, there was a method to his madness, and he fired people up. I can't come up with that many guys. I'm trying to think right now. Drew Brees seems like that kind of guy as a quarterback. I can't think of any running backs who are like that. I mean, they're all so nonchalant. They take their cue from you, John. Yeah. The wide receiver is a little bit more vociferous. Jason Kelsey, the tight end for Kansas City, is a guy that shows – Mahomes shows a lot of emotion too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I was a low T guy, Larry, so, get off the field, do what I had to. I'll tell you, interesting enough, we just were talking about him. To a certain extent, Trent Williams is kind of that guy.
It is.
That because just what Dexter was talking about. I think when it comes to an offensive tackle, when you look at him, given his size and his, and his speed, and he's got great feet. I mean, it's so unique to see a guy his size, I guess was what I was trying to say, with his athleticism.
Right.
Because before Adrian Peterson came here 2 years ago, there was a workout video of him and Peterson doing some drills together.
Shuttle run.
It's uncanny.
Yeah, he beat him.
It looked like it looked like Mutt and Jeff, but they were doing them in sync. They were, I mean, Peterson wasn't getting ahead of him at all. He was staying right with him. It was pretty wild. And I guess, and to hitchhike off that, Dexter feels like, that he's hopeful that they'll be able to maintain, somehow work out a deal with Trent Williams and bring him in here and get him back on the team. That I've kind of, I don't want to say I've waffled on it, but I've always felt like, well, it's time to maybe make a clean break. But he does, present, something that like anything else, coaches always like to know what they have, not what they'd like to have.
Right.
So you see coaches bring in people that they're familiar with. Well, obviously everybody's familiar with Trent Williams. You know what you have in him. Like we were just talking, you've got about 6 guys, I think, maybe at least 5 that they're projected to go in the first round that are offensive tackles. You don't know for sure what you're going to get. And that kind of reminds me a little bit as I was looking through some of these lists of some of the all-time busts in the NFL. And what they go on forever, Larry. It's just like I saw this one. They were even picking on guys that got drafted in the second round. And I'm thinking, you can't. I mean, it's a second-round pick. I mean, you got to cut a little slack there.
I remember Malcolm Kelly, Devin Thomas, Fred Davis. 3 players drafted in the second round by the Redskins with varying degrees of success. Love all those guys. Malcolm got banged up a little bit. Devin saw some better days after he left the Redskins, actually played for a Super Bowl team with the New York Giants. And Fred Davis maybe had the best career of all of them, but Fred, obviously didn't have enough long-term discipline to really, he's a great player and great guys too. So, it's never a sure thing. Bobby Wilson is a name that has come up.
Yeah.
That was a first-round pick for the Redskins who never got a chance to do much. Gary Beeben, Sonny would never let me forget. Now we're going way back on that one.
Washington drafted Beeben way back when?
Yeah, Heisman Trophy winner and never saw the light of day. And then, of course, Heath Schuler, someone who I love, great guy, and he got beat out by Gus Frerotte. And Gus Frerotte, I think, was a 6th-round pick, and Heath was a 1st-round pick.
Yeah.
So you never know what you're going to get. But this guy, I mean, you know what? You can't go wrong. And I don't know, John, you get all these rumors the day or two before the draft that, the phone's ringing, people are making offers. Do you believe what you hear right now?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I'm kind of – and I think that Ron Rivera's in that – Ron Rivera is basically my thinking. I have no idea because I think this is Ron's draft, and he's working with the people that were already in place. What is his name? Chris Smith? Is that his
Kyle
name?
Smith.
Kyle, I'm sorry.
Kyle Smith.
Who's the director basically of the, the personnel.
VP now. You got the promotion.
Right. And so, based on what he's a defensive guy, right? Ron is. He played, for the Chicago Bears back when I was playing. And I got to believe, once you're a defensive, you're always a defensive guy. You see a guy here that, as we were talking about earlier, potentially a generational talent. I'm thinking if I'm Ron Rivera, what would that deal be to steal a line from The Godfather? What offer could they make him that he couldn't refuse?
It's making an offer you couldn't refuse.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what that offer would include. I mean, how many draft picks would you have to get? In the back of that, what you would always be, it depends on how it went, though. I mean, if everything falls into place and you're playing in a championship game next year, and then you would kind of like, oh, that was a good deal. But at the same time, if you were to trade away from Chase Young, and you see Chase Young becomes the next, Lawrence Taylor or whoever you want to flip, Reggie White, whoever you want to throw in, and Dexter Manley, you'd kind of go, no, you never know what you're going to. Personally, I think when I look at the draft, Larry, I just see it as a really, to a certain extent, there's been so many times there's been these can't-miss guys that miss. And I'm not projecting anything onto Chase Young, but to a certain extent, there's a little bit of a roll to the dice to it, I think, because the other thing that we can never count on and why it happens, no one knows. And Darius Geis is a classic example, a guy who shows all the promise that you can in college, and you get to the pro, and the next thing you know, the injury bug bites you, and you never can quite get away from it. I mean, that's the part where where you have to have divine intervention, or you have to be connected to something otherworldly to be able to know that about the future.
John, I think we're running long. I'm going to get you a read in here, and then we're going to wrap it up with the virtual draft coming up. Whether on the sidelines or in the classroom, whether on the chalkboard, getting X's and O's, whether you're a pro football coach or Mrs. Johnson at George Mason High School. Washington Redskins believe in the power of great teachers. That's why we're partnering with youth entrepreneurs to bring Washington, D.C. teachers the resources they deserve. In response to the coronavirus pandemic, Youth Entrepreneurs has launched Teach Everywhere, a place for teachers to call home while adjusting to teaching at home. The resource contains distance learning activities, resources and tools, and a series of webinars from expert educators. Visit teacheverywhere.org to learn more. Now more than ever, it's important to keep your car ready for anything, and at your local Honda dealer service department, you're in safe hands. Safe hands that expertly trained. They're expertly trained hands using only Honda genuine parts. Safe hands that'll take every precaution to keep your car clean and sanitized. Safe hands that follow strict CDC guidelines, working with gloves covering all commonly touched surfaces with plastic. Best of all, safe hands that'll work with any make or model. Because at Honda, you and your car are in safe hands. Contact your local Honda dealer for more information. And finally, don't forget the big draft weekend extravaganza, Draft Redskins Central, presented by 7-Eleven, culminating with the 3-hour virtual draft party, Saturday night at 6 p.m. It's all presented by the great folks at 7-Eleven.
Ladies and gentlemen, stand back and watch the Phoenix rise from the ashes.
Stand back. It's Riggo the Diesel.
By the way, I want on a sad note, I think you're aware of the fact that Mike Curtis, the number 32, played for the Baltimore Colts, then was put into the expansion draft in 1976, I guess it was. Ended up with Seattle for a year or two, and then he ended his career actually with the Washington Redskins, 77 and 78. And, you know, he's one of those guys not unlike Joe Jacoby. You know, I've always felt, you know, I was drafted by the Jets. I had to play against Mike, you know, in total it was 10 times, twice a year, because I was with the Jets. We were in the same division. And I got to tell you, you mentioned the word just a second ago about energy and intensity. He personified that. I mean, I you know, to this day, I look and I see guys that had that kind of intensity. I can't think of it a handful. I mean, I can't really, in my mind, actually, Mike Curtis stands out above everybody that I've ever watched play football, because he was so wrapped up in every play that, you know, he was one of those guys that went to the whistle and then maybe a little past the whistle.
Well,
you could always. He was a very intense and a very gifted player as well. I mean, he had good speed. He was strong. He had an extremely intelligent guy. And I got to know Mike a little bit. We went to a boys club deal in Alaska back in 1980. And, you know, it was kind of a relief for me to be on the right side of Mike Curtis, if you will, as opposed to having to play against him. But, yeah, he was really a nice guy. But, in other words, he was one of those guys that completely belied who you saw on a football field. And unfortunately or fortunately for him, I don't know, kind of like Doug Atkins once told me something about, I wish that had been me, that when he clocked that guy in 71 that ran out on the field to steal the football, that's one of the all-time – I think that may be the greatest play in the NFL first 100 years.
Well, that has happened before where a fan had came on the field and he was accosted, but that was famous because it was like a clothesline. And Mike Curtis, I can remember Mike Curtis always had, and I don't know if these were, you know, extracurricular pads on his forearms or not, but he always seemed like he had some pretty big forearm pads.
Yes, he did.
Kind of like Ted Hendricks used to. And also Gene Upshaw used to have those too, by the way. And Roger Brown had them. A lot of guys had those potentially augmented forearm pads. You never know. But when he took that fan down, oh, my God, it was like Czech Bardnarek had hit Frank Gifford in that famous video. If you thought that guy wasn't getting up, and then you're wondering in the flash before your eyes, is Mike Curtis in trouble for doing this? But he really became, I don't want to say known for that, but his aggressiveness is what you remember about Mike Curtis, and what a great football player.
Yeah, he was really, the word was intensity. He was just so intense. And it didn't make any difference the first play of the game when guys are all keyed up. You know, you've been waiting all week. You're out there. The adrenaline's running high. The last play of the game, Mike Curtis was the same guy.
Yeah.
The first play, the last play, he didn't cut. He never cut his motor. It was always going 100%.
What a football player. Hate to see him go.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. And it was shocking to me because, you know, he's a contemporary of mine, but Mike was 77, so he is a little bit older than me. I didn't realize he was that much older. I didn't think he was, but he'd been around for a while.
got to thank God for health, and especially right now. You getting a little antsy there, big guy? You getting antsy a little bit at home?
No, not really.
No?
Like I said, it's business as usual for me, Larry. I mean, my daughters haven't been anywhere in over a month, I guess. They've been right here. I mean, I went out yesterday to a grocery store and got some groceries, but I hadn't been out for 2 weeks. So, just stayed right here. But I mean, I've been down with my wife, and I went for a walk on the canal yesterday, but that's about it. How about you? What's it like there?
It's the same. I mean, get out to the store once in a while. I mean, get out with my dogs, and a little bit of a Groundhog's Day, but we're working. We got the NFL business continues, so it gives us a little bit of a routine. Can't wait to get back to work. Can't wait to get back to the facility. I guess there's a lot of unanswered questions. Again, when you're talking about off-season program and talking about the workouts and talking about training camp and all this, maybe we'll bring that up next week, John, because Dexter was worth making room for on this edition of the Riggo the Diesel show.
Yeah, he certainly was. Anything you're doing Thursday night in regards to the draft, or are you off Thursday?
No, we're working. We've got a location that we have retained where it is an enormous location, and there are going to be a couple of guys working with the proper social distancing, and we're going to do our draft coverage. Got all kinds of hookups with people all over the country. So, with the draft picks.
And it'll be on the team website? That's where
it'll be on the website. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on Twitter. It'll be on all that. And it's exciting. And then, Saturday we've got this 3-hour show, which is, a lot of Wale, a rapper who I'm sure you're very familiar with, is going to be on the show. And
he's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he is. And you know what? It's again, and then next week we'll get a chance to meet the rookies. By next week's Riggo the Diesel, we will know who the rookies are.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Looking forward to it. Larry, thank you as always, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, JR.
Dear customer service, I can always count on Novak. My power is always on, my payments always go through, and Novak actually cares about the community they serve.
Dear Novak, your electric costs are reasonable. Some electricity is from alternative sources, and cost reductions are passed along during the year. Thanks.
Novak, power you can count on.
As our nation battles COVID-19, every job in a medical facility is critical. Join the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, housekeeping, food service, supply techs, and other support staff. These people help save lives in medical centers, outpatient clinics, and community living centers. We're hiring in every state, and we've made the process faster. Will you join us on the front line? Visit va.gov/join us to find out how.
Work is work, but there's nothing like a good workout. Tennis, mountain biking, a good run, sweating off the week. That's what weekends are for. Of course, a misstep could put you out of commission. That's why Innova Sports Medicine is here for you. We treat your injuries and recovery like you're a pro. In fact, Innova is the official sports medicine partner of the Washington Redskins. See how we keep you on top of your game at innovasports.org.